Okay.
Right, evening everybody. So welcome to Patchwork Challenge. You might have forgotten who we are and what we do. It's been that long. It's been about 3 months, I think. So we did a spring special because we were late with the last one, and well, no, a winter special, wasn't it? January to March, and now we're coming back with an April to June spring special. So apologies for that. It's been a very, very busy quarter. But here we are finally bringing you the update to the end of June. And we've got two guests with us. I'll introduce James anyway,
Hello,
just in case
everybody.
you've forgotten who he is. And then we've got Vincent, who you might recognise from the first podcast we did many moons ago. So welcome back. And we've got Rob Hunton from Spurn Bird Observatory, who helpfully has Spurn Bird Observatory on his ID as well on the screen. So following Jacob's appearance last year, we've got Rob to kind of set the record straight if there's anything dodgy in Jacob's presentation at the end of the year. And tell us a little bit about Spring at Spurn. So there we've got the running order there. So we're going to kick off with Rob shortly, just to go through a little bit of the Spring at Spurn, which had a bit of a blinding couple of months. We'll go through some of the best birds. We'll go through a few mini leagues, and then we'll have a little bit of an update on sort of the Dutch Patchwork Challenge with Vincent, and a little bit I think about his Texel patch as well. A few more mini leagues, bit of patch gold, mini leagues, and then top tens and some predictions for August. So that will be for everybody at the end. So I guess kicking off, we'll introduce Rob. So Rob, don't you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your patch? I'm guessing most people are familiar with Spurn, but I'll let you kick off. Just we haven't got your slide on the patch, but you can sort of describe where it is.
Cool, thank you. Well, I'm Rob Hunton. I'm the manager at Spurn Bird Observatory. I think a few of the patch listeners will know me. Bumped into a few at Bird Fair as well, which was really good. So I've been at Spurn for just over 2 years now, and sort of started. I wasn't going to join Patchwork Challenge last year, but Jacob almost forced me into it for a bit of competition. But I was kind of a bit worried that I'd be too busy with work. Which I was busy with work, but managed to get a good year in. But this year I'm even busier, so I think I'm going to be absolutely. I'm going to be well and truly beaten by Jacob and potentially some of the guys down at Jib as well, by the look of it at the minute. But we'll see how it goes. You know, it's like I say, the screenshot there for May was pretty impressive. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes from now on. But yeah, spring at Spurn was quality over quantity. So I've missed quite a few sort of easy spring migrants that have gone through, like woodlark, and we had a hooded crow. I've not seen a bearded tit. I've not seen a little stint. So there's quite a few bits that I've missed. Not even seen a red start or a black red start. I won't touch on. Yeah, well, I won't touch on July yet, but I saw a rare sandpiper before a golden plover. So yeah, that's kind of how busy I've been. But I'm still managing to plug away. But yes, it's going well. It's going well. So April was a bit slow to start with, but we got green-winged teal in April, potentially 3 birds, but definitely 2, which would have been the 3rd and the 4th record for Spurn. I'll come back onto 4th records of Spurn in May, because that's quite interesting and quite a cool little link between me and Jacob. That's when the main push of summer migrants started coming through. So swallows and tree pipits, etc. And we had a nice little Egyptian goose come all the way from Egypt. Definitely a wild bird.
Right, not in your highlights.
Definitely. Well, it was a Spurn tick for me, so that is one of my highlights. But I think that's something like the 26th record. So it's not a common bird here, thankfully. And then towards the end of the month, we had a decent push of golden orioles, 3 or 4, including a couple of cracking males. You've probably seen Thomas Willoughby's photograph in flight, sort of shearing round. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I missed bearded tit and long-tailed duck that month. I always come unstuck with long-tailed duck. But then into May, as it says there, what a month it was. It was brilliant. Kicked off with Montague's Harrier on the 1st. Nice adult male came down the Humber, went down the peninsula. And then presumably it came back up the Humber, because I think it was at top of low or something a couple of days
Yeah,
later.
kicked around the whole of East Yorkshire for a week or two, that I think. And I think it's been quite a good, touch wood, it's been quite a good spring for Monties compared to recent years. And obviously we've been down at 0 breeding pairs across the country for a couple of years. So I don't know anything, but I have all my fingers crossed that perhaps there's a pair or two snuck away somewhere, raising young, and it'd be nice if there were one in Yorkshire, but you just don't know, do you? So fantastic bird, and those spring males are cracking looking things, aren't they?
Yeah, brilliant. That again, that was a Spurn tick for me. So completed the set, barring Northern Harrier. So I was.
Yeah, time will tell, no doubt.
Yeah, I was having a mid-afternoon nap after quite a heavy night in the pub the night before, and it came out on the radio. And thankfully, where I was able to get out and get it pretty well. Flew straight past me, circling outside the Crown and Anchor for a while before going off. So it did the honourable thing and let me get there.
Very good.
Yeah, I think Monty's is my best Crown and Anchor tick. I think sitting with a pint outside, it just floated past.
Nice.
Yeah, then collared flycatcher. So me and Paul Collins were just sat having a coffee in the morning, reading Johnny Fisk's account of his one of his many epic days on Fair Isle. And he I think the day before he'd found a collared flycatcher. So we were looking at some pictures of that and how many extreme warblers and stuff that they'd had, and we were like, oh, that'd be great. So he had his nets open in the garden here at Kew, and I let him crack on with that. And I just nipped out in the car, going up to shop. I'm driving through Easington, and I get a phone call off of him, and that's pretty unusual. Paul doesn't phone that often.
No.
Oh no, what's going on? There's something wrong. And he's like, I've got a collared flycatcher, you're going to have to come back. And I'm like, what? And sitting around here, as you know, can be really sketchy. So I just almost handbrake turned in Easington. School kids is like jumping out at road, getting out of the way, and I bombed it back. And thankfully I got back in time, and it was in the ringing lab, and I was just talking to him. So the guys were gathered outside, and I'd just gone into ringing lab just to have a chat with him, and he's got this bag, pulls a bird out, and I just thought it was going to be ringing a chiff chaff or another willow warbler, and this black and white thing pops out, and I'm just I can't even tell you what noise I made. Right?
So it is absolutely stunning, isn't it?
Oh, it's a beautiful bird, that.
Yeah, absolute stunner. Yeah. So I sent my dad a photograph of it back home in Leeds, and he was like, bloody hell. So then he jumps in the car and gets straight over here, and finally he caught up with it. But luckily for everybody else, it was absolutely peeing it down that night. So it really torrential rain. So it was like we were pretty confident it was still going to be there the next morning. And it were cold as well the next morning. So I were up really early, and there were people milling about already. But there was no sign of it till about 9 o'clock. Just as obviously it's getting warmer, then the flies are out, and then it started fly catching at the back. So thankfully it stuck around all day, and quite a lot of people managed to get over and see that bird. But yeah, that's obviously a highlight. I still love looking at that photograph. Yeah. So we were watching.
It's one of my most wanted, and I don't think I could get down that day.
Yeah, we were watching.
Find another one.
We were watching that, and then Jacob gets on the radio. He was down at the Numpty's watch point and says, "Get on this raptor that's coming down. It looks interesting." And we're just looking sort of up into a silhouette, and it's like, what the bloody hell is that? And then a rough-legged buzzard flew through, so that was a nice spring bonus for us. We we'd expect to get a couple coming through in autumn, but that wasn't on anybody's radar, so that was good. But yeah, the collared flycatcher was the 4th record for Spurn, the first male. Then Jacob found an Iberian chiffchaff singing at 5:30 in the morning near his caravan. Then that came up to Kew. Paul caught it. It was singing for ages. That was also the 4th record. So Paul Collins is the paid warden, so full time. He found the 4th collared flycatcher. Jacob, paid assistant warden, found the 4th Iberian chiffchaff, and then at the very end of the month, on the right there's the purple heron that came down. I'd gone out looking. It was a nice, calm evening, so I thought I'd go out and have a listen for quail. But I didn't take my blooming radio with me to communicate. I had my phone and my bins and everything, but I just stopped and talked to Richard Baines outside of the observatory and carried on sort of 20 yards after he'd gone, and he'd gone 20 yards the other way, and I just heard this. I look up and there's this bloody heron there. I'm like, Jesus Christ, purple heron. Got on my bins. I'm like, it is, but it was flying away from me. So I shouted to Richard, and he runs back with radio. So I get on radio. If anyone's further south, have a look at this heron. It's probably just a grey heron, but check it for purple heron. And luckily, again, Jacob were at Numpties and fired off a few shots. And that's, again, the 4th record for Spurn. So all 3 employees have found a 4th for Spurn this spring, which is pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
So no firsts, but yeah, there's been a lot of other stuff. Bee-eaters, marsh warblers, another Blythe's reed warbler. That interestingly turned up on the same day in the same bush as a bird last year.
Okay. Yeah.
Another cool story. So yeah, nightjar, honey buzzard, hawfinches. Me and Jacob had an in-off peck sand at Beacon Ponds.
That's a good spring record as well. To get one coming in off, that's all good fun. That.
Yeah, we were covering a shift of the head Little Term Warden at the time, and it was the playoff semi-finals. So we were watching Leeds on his phone.
Someone has to.
Well, exactly, yeah. But that's obviously distracted us. It was a boring 0-0 game anyway, away at Norwich. But yeah, that was pretty cool as well. And then I think while we were watching the Iberian chiffchaff, there was a wood sandpiper displaying somewhere over Kilnsey, just flying around doing a display flight. So we've had some really good stuff. But sort of on top of that, we've had a female and a male common rosefinch, a beautiful red male common rosefinch. I didn't see that. Didn't see the female either. And we had a fly through stone curlew as well, which is another really good record.
Good Yorkshire bird, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't get hold of that one either. That just flew straight through and off. So yeah, May was mega really, and then excellent. June, it calmed down quite a bit in June, but there was an increase in seabird numbers, so I kept ticking over, and I got my first puffin and great northern diver. There's still a couple of victorine warblers hanging around as well, and managed to get some bonus points with that. We won singing in the observatory garden, which was nice, and I don't know how anyone else had missed it, but just one of them lucky things. You're in the right place at the right time, and I'm emptying the bins or doing whatever I was doing at the time, and I'm like, oh, it's an victorine warbler singing in that bush, so that was good. But yeah, I've not had red star, I've not had black red star, I've not had tree pipit, little stint, Caspian gull, corn bunting, purple sandpiper, all things that we'd expect to get, and we have had. But for my patchwork challenge, I've got a few things to catch up on. I'm quite optimistic and hopeful that I might be lagging behind a little bit, but I've still got a bit in the tank yet to come.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll plug red start in the autumn. I don't think that'll be an issue.
It's not.
In the context of Spurn Springs, then, has that been like an exceptional one for Spurn this year, or is it?
For quality wise, it has, but migrant numbers have been pretty poor. Yeah, we've done well for whitethroats, and lesser whitethroat seems to have done pretty well, but we have no really massive days of willow warbler. We'd never get too many pied flycatchers in spring. Like they're definitely an autumn bird, but not many spotted flycatchers. We can normally do really well for them. Hardly any firecrests through this spring, so it's been good, but it's also kind of a bit alarming that some of the common bread and butter stuff that we're getting seems to be significantly down. And it's like we look at breeding. We've not analysed the breeding bird surveys yet, but I've been speaking to some guys on the continent as well, a bit further north, and like European robin and stuff seems to be massively down at the minute. So which we're seeing, blackbird numbers are down. So, but in terms of rares, it's been good.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Rob. That's a really good roundup of your patch and of what's been going on at Spurn. Obviously, we get fairly regular Spurn updates on here, just due to the sheer number of birders that patch it on and off over the years. But it's really nice to get a different perspective, someone who's just sort of incidentally there. And obviously, I know you're trying to connect with as many birds as possible, but a slightly more laid back and perhaps work focused approach to birding the place. And it's great to hear that it's just being there and you're coming across all these birds and what the experience is like. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure most of our listeners will have been to Spurn, but obviously one to get under your belt on a good day for sure.
Yeah, if you've not been to Spurn, get your sent up. We'll put you up in accommodation. We've got some great hospitality. Come and see us.
Definitely. Right, we better move on, I think, Pete.
Indeed.
Right, what have we got up next?
To just some of the best birds from between April and June, on various people's patches, and I think that Marmor's Warbler is obviously probably the best bird we've had in the 3 months.
What's that, about 6th for Britain or something like that?
About that, I think. Yeah, up on Fair Isle, I think. I know David's picture had just the back end of it. So I've nicked the bird guide's picture. I think he had the tail sticking out behind the post on his Twitter feed. I've stolen bird guide's Rarity Finders article picture instead, which is a bit more
smarter.
but
well worth the 15 points, that one. And cracking birds.
And then Scott Reed on St Mary's, really just the picture and the quality of the picture in some ways. It's absolutely stunning. But black kite's obviously becoming more frequent, especially in that far south in the spring.
Yeah, one of my colleagues who lives, one of the Patchwork Challenge admin who never turns in. I mean, in fairness, he has a 6-month-old daughter, and he's had a rather large dose of COVID. So I hope you're feeling a bit better, Ryan. But yeah, Ryan's had quite a few black kites over his garden, in amongst the myriad of red kites this spring. And obviously, they all go on their day trip out to the Scillies for a few hours, and there was the booted eagle in amongst them, which no one managed to get on their patches, I don't think. But
I don't think so. Certainly didn't see it come up anywhere on Twitter.
It's interesting though, and I wonder whether there are little black kites going to emerge soon from somewhere in the southwest.
Wouldn't be a surprise, would it?
Wouldn't at all. And then
onwards.
Yeah. Oh, it's.
Oh, we're sticking.
Yeah, we're sticking. It's not. It's being silly. Right, there we go.
This was just a little bit rather fall, so it was actually quite a poor month, I think, along a lot of the quarter over the east coast for a lot of the time. I think likewise, I didn't get red start and things like that. That would almost always get in the spring. But there was that really short period where there was just enormous numbers of redback shrikes falling on, especially the Scottish Islands. It's absolutely bonkers.
Incredible spring for
Ickies.
Yeah, Ickies. Yeah, that late May period, there were so many redback shrikes. Yeah. Did you manage to see any redback shrikes, Pete?
I did. By 1 bonus point so far. Yeah, I actually went out that night with the intent of, in the pouring rain, with the intent of finding one, because they were turning up absolutely everywhere. They were at Scarborough, right along the coast. It felt inevitable, really. So yeah, there was one, fortunately, a very, very grotty female, that looked very wet and apologetic. And then it was joined by a second the next day, but I didn't make it to see the two together. But yeah, just so many up and down the coast, and I think a lot of people were sort of harking back to sort of the 70s when you used to read those articles of the mid 70s and the falls that you'd get in the spring. And I think some of those numbers of shrikes, Ictwin warblers, blue throats that were happening on the Scottish Islands and then filtering all the way down the coast really was.
I mean, Fair Isle broke its records, didn't it, for a number of those bits and pieces. Rhinex as well.
Yeah.
So, fantastic.
So all those classic spring species, but just in great numbers. And I think it just gave a lot of people an opportunity to get those on the patches. When they do, including some inland redback shrikes as well.
Yeah.
So just picked a couple of pictures there, and obviously a very fine blue throat. A lot of them didn't look as magnificent as that one does.
No, Duncan's done quite well there. He's got to be happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit. And I think looking at Duncan there, it says, I think it's the first one at Tynemouth in 20 years for Redback Shrike, which seems extraordinarily long time for that location.
Yeah, that's crackers, because it's certainly not far up the road. They've definitely had a few, so.
Yeah. And then we got a bit of Warbler Fest. So again, some nice inland great reed warblers. I think 2 or 3 actually across country inland sites. So that was for Duncan Byatt, Weldrake Kings. And then Sean O'Hara had that Iberian Chiffchaff, a second one found, so 2 there.
Nice.
And then finally up in Tyree. So as you'd expect, John Bowler had a run of various good migrants, but a very nice spring red-breasted flycatcher.
Lovely.
In his garden, of course. Where else would it be?
You know, it's where these things are.
Indeed. And then just winter clinging on. So actually, in terms of weather, it's been bloody awful. So it feels like you've got all these spring migrants, but actually there's been a few bits of winter as well. So Leicester Scorp at St Aidan's, which is nice. A snowy owl flying in Caithness for Rob Hughes. And then I shall pass over to you, James, in terms of the Blue Teal, which actually is on your find list, but obviously only the news really came out very, very recently.
Yeah, I didn't find them. It just saw them. I was in the very lucky position of obviously heading down to reserve fairly regularly, and what's probably last autumn's pair of blue-winged teals, a couple of juveniles came back through, and it turned into an adult male and an adult female. So they might have bred, which is weird. It doesn't seem like they were successful, but they turned up for a week or so in early April, disappeared, and then were seen again in early June with no ducklings. So it sounds pretty likely that they snuck off to a drain or an overgrown water body, had a go, and sadly been predated or something like that. But seems pretty likely that that's I don't think there's any breeding records from Europe, is there?
No.
Don't know if anyone can sort of correct me there, but yeah, really, really interesting record, and obviously was kept quiet due to, one, the interest in them, and obviously making sure that they were protected, and 2, there's a number of other bits and pieces knocking about that would have benefited from these not being put out. So unfortunate for a number of people, but obviously blue-winged teal not too mega, but fantastic to see.
I think quite a few people would have linked with him last autumn when Teal obviously had its very good run of rare ducks.
Absolutely. Right. I think we're finally getting to the mini leagues.
First set. Do you want to do the first set, James?
Yeah, let's blast through these first sets. So, Coastal East England, and we've got Sam. This is the 10K league. We've got Sam Goddard leading on 297 points. Good grief. He's beating Nigel Lound, who's in second on 262, both at Jib. Then James Brown at Hopton. He's on 192 points, and he's added Purple Heron and Green-winged Teal. And then I'm in fourth somehow. Good grief. Paul Newton will overtake me soon, no doubt. Had some very late waxwings in May in the garden centre down the road, and the usual sorts of stuff, great white egrets, little girls. And Paul had an osprey, so that was quite nice. I said we were only going to do rare birds, so let's stick to rare birds. Coastal East England, normal one. So Jacob's winning on 298 points at Spurn, ahead of Trevor at Titchwell. Trevor's highlights were White Stork, Cattle Egret, which is nice. And then Mark Andrews down at Kilnsey, so another of the Spurn-ish birders. He had a Pallid Harrier. He's on 245 points. Rob just 2 points behind. Have you caught him up yet, Rob, or is his start to July sort of pipping you at the post?
Well, he got Goodwill turn yesterday, so he's going to be close. But I'm quietly confident looking at the species he's seen and the species I've seen. I've got quite a lot of.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, best of luck with that.
Hence, per species is better, by the way. So, sorry, Mark.
And then obviously yourself, we've gone through your birds, some decent ones there, including points for Icterium Warbler. And then elsewhere, there was a glossy ibis for Stuart Ainsworth at Jib. Purple, we've done James Brown's Purple Heron and Green-winged Teal. Side Chiff for Will Scott. Paul French's Green-winged Teal, which he found off patch. It then jumped on patch, but he didn't find it, so no finder's points for him. Sad times. And then we've got some quail for Paul Newton and Pete Williams Redback Shrike. So very good.
I've already made it. I need to make it to Patchmore. I've only been there about 6 times to the coast. So it's I need to do more effort.
Yeah, Coastal Island, same order. And Dan Newton's had his first AVA set at WoW since 2017. So well done to him.
Yeah, I think he had a little turn as well, I think.
Quite possibly. And then on his 10K, he's also had Osprey, which obviously over that side of the ditch is quite a good bird. Then in Coastal Scotland, the 10K League, Rob Hughes is top at Nibster on 198 points. As we just said, Snowy Owl flew past, which is, I mean, I think that's the first Patchwork Challenge Snowy Owl, so that's a great result for him. Julian Smith.
It is, isn't it? I've not thought of that.
Yeah. Julian Smith done it Bay on 168 points in second, and then Callum Scott found himself an inland redback shrike on his 10K, Aberlady, and he's on 160. So nice stuff. And then in the 3K League, Andrew Whitehouse is leading at Girdle Ness on 151 points with his side Chiff. Andrew Warewell, sorry, I've butchered that. And at North Berwick, he's on 148 points, and then Rob with his Snowy Owl is also on 148 points, but considerably fewer species. And Nick Littlewood at Portsoy had the inevitable Portsoy white-billed diver earlier in the spring. Yeah. So that's what happens at Portsoy. Coastal South of England, 10K, we've got Steve Keane top of the table. In Southwest Hampshire with 202 points. Bob Ford's in second on 182, and he's had a Western Subalp. At Weymouth, Amy Robjohns at Fareham, she's on 164. Highlights are a bit more modest. And then Andrew Collins had a Fudge Duck in the Southampton area. So that Hampshire, Dorset area is going pretty well in that league. Then in the 3K version, Amy's on top with 160 points. Steve's in second on 140. And then Kev Rylands at Dawlish Warren, who's had quite a decent period with a first sight record of Lesser Scorp and a second sight record of Coomlin's Goal, but he did fess up that they were both twitched. And then, as I mentioned, Ryan, Ryan, I think he might be on more than 94 points now.
I suspect it is, yeah. Not updated for a while.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I know he goes for a walk every day and sees nice things. So fair play to him. And then we'll keep cracking on to the next bit. So, yo, I'll let Pete run through this with you. So, Pete, do you want to?
So obviously the first ever one that we did of these, we brought you on. Obviously, it was all part of last year's competition, and now you've split away into your own. And I think it's sort of long overdue an update, really, on how it's all going in that league. Obviously, had a lot of sign-ups, I seem to remember. And just how it's going, how your first half of the year has been, and how it's picking up, and what the best birds have been.
Okay. Well, this is from the website observation.org. I think in the UK you probably use eBird, but for all our nature sightings we go to a different site, and then you can create a bio blitz for a certain area. So we all got the participants to make a 3 square kilometer area. Well, you see the guy in the lead, he is overrun it a little bit, 3.19, but we're quite lenient to those kinds of strange things. And well, what we do is we get the target, we get the species seen, so that's going really well. And the points, we have a slightly different system, but very much familiar with yours, and we couldn't have it here, so we also have a Excel spreadsheet, so people can run their points there. And this is from the top guy who lives, I think it's probably the Spurn of the Netherlands, West June Park, close to The Hague. And he is 206 species, and I was just trying to find the total number of points. He's already at 383 points, so that's quite decent. Yeah, so he's way off. Let's see, almost 20 points in the lead, and his target was really stiff, like 225. And I asked him a few months ago, so were you drunk? No, I get those numbers every year. So he's really up to because they have a lot of migration points. So like Vismic, but also very good Sea Watch points. So he's really going like a fire rocket. And yeah, I'm just somewhere at 9th place, trying to catch up. But the next few months are key. And we have also, like, for maybe you've seen it at place 6, the famous spring migration point at Breskens. So it's really not like Len is living there, but he's coming there quite often, and it gets him to 175. So actually, they're all very coastal points. Maybe the only exception is Arkham Haynes' Sea Dyke at 0.8, which is more inland. But already we have 400 participants, I think, something like that. So really going well, but maybe also some dormant patches which were created but not visited too often, but we're quite enthusiastic already, and we'll have to see. And let also nice because I was talking right before we started, you can also make it something like own nature discovery site, because you can record any number of birds you have, like breeding species, Vismic, and some birders they have already amassed 10,000 records in the last few months. So that's also really nice. And this is the list of the top runner, Gerjon. Hard to pronounce for you, but Gerjon has been really up to his game. And look, booted eagle, not on the patches in the UK, but he managed. Some birders managed. I heard that he had to jump in his car and cross every speed limit just to get it on this patch. Another birder who has the same patch, he doesn't live on his patch, but he lives in the city of The Hague, and then he ran upstairs to his attic and could watch it from the rooftop. allegedly, but that's really nice. And he has they had some really good species. And what was fun to hear Rob mentioning some really good numbers, like Eurasian golden oriole or wryneck. We had some patches really getting loads of golden orioles and stuff like that. White-winged tern has been good, a Caspian tern. So we do a monthly weblog on the Dutch Birding website, and I try to make some kind of sense of it all. And but you get a lot of really good spring migration species also on the patches here in the Netherlands. But 206 species is is really something. Okay, then we have some highlights, of course, because from the weblog I didn't make too much of it, days of preparation, but I just got some pics of the weblog, and this is a really good one. I think it's the second spring Isabeline wheat year for the Netherlands, and it was on patch, actually found as a strange pale wheat year by someone who doesn't patch for the challenge, but he mentioned it to another patch birder, and he went after the bird and discovered that it was an Isabeline wheat year, and lovely spring record, and also very, very good.
What a photograph that is as well. That's that's spectacular way to get one.
It is. Yeah, and this is also really nice because the Isabelline Widgie was on the inland side, and this is a Ross gull. Maybe you can make it out just yet, and we have something like a purple patch thing going on the patchwork challenge here, because the Widgie was at an inland site where really close to where the mustached warbler was seen in March.
Okay,
and but this one was at the coast, some 20 kilometers southwest of Rotterdam, and the same patch birder who found this Ross gull had also American Widgeon 1 hour later, and he closed off his day on his patch with a Caspian tern. So that's a good triple.
Sounds like a tough day, that one, doesn't it?
Tough. Well, it's a wonderful day, yeah. But could you imagine having 3 of those species in just a few hours? And this also really nice at an inland site. One of our fellow, well, actually the godfather of Dutch patch birding, Hein Prince. He has a site close to Utrecht. He's right in the center of the Netherlands, far from sea, and he's been patch birding for about 20 years now. And he was one of the first to jump on board, and also just the whole organization and the weblog stuff. But he went to the island of Vlieland, which is a good migrant trap in the spring. And when he was there, some other birder discovered this lesser scope on his patch, so he had to race back, saw it, but no bonus points. That's how it is. Yeah, but still good though.
Oh, spectacular! Again, a lovely photo.
Yeah, it is. It's much better than the photo we had earlier, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, and this is because wow. Well, you could say that, but I was mentioning the purple patch thing going on. This is also very close to the site of the Isabelline Widgie and the mustache warbler, and Thijs Glastra, one of really good, sharp young birders. He's something like 23, 24, and he's really getting into this photo, making great photos. And they found sociable lapwing. No, somebody else found a sociable lapwing. He went to see it. They had a marsh sandpiper really close by, and then a pallet harrier cruised by. So they had 3 big species.
Decent triple that then.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then...
So really nice to have those. And when we go back a little bit more in winter, I would really like to mention we have one participant who has 2 patches, not too far apart, but something like 15 kilometers apart. And one is a pond viewable from his house, and there we got that is the sleeping widgeons in winter. So he discovered this American widgeon. Okay, fair enough, good, nice points. And a few weeks later, he discovers an American widgeon at this other patch, and just by scrutinizing the pictures, it's a different bird.
Oh, so, nice.
What chance would you have, like, discovering 2 American widgeons in the Netherlands at your 2 patches? It's totally unbelievable. But he's, I think, probably the biggest rarity finder we have at the moment, Diederik Kok. So.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, quality of the photo helps.
And it's been all right
for the 2 of them.
But then,
all right for you as well.
I couldn't chase any of the birds because those weren't at my patch, so I stuck to my patch. And luckily, I'm on Texel, and even on Texel, I didn't twitch too many species outside my patch. We had beautiful, great spotted cuckoo hanging around for probably a month, so that was a new island tick for me. I went to see that. We had a nice stone curlew, but on my patch it wasn't really too bad because we had not really like prolonged good weather, but some spells of a nice southeastern wind and some nice falls of some species, and I just took like from April until June. Spring, April started with a crane, and then really I live in a very small village. I had a serin in a tree just in front of my house, and a few days later, it was singing behind my house. We did the Dutch Patchwork Challenge Big Day. I saw, I think, 105 species, including red-footed falcon and white-tailed eagle, which was really nice. Good species for a big day. I had a purple heron, and the day I retraced the serin, I heard it singing with my son Koen, who was also having a patch, but not my patch, so he had serin and golden oriole, but not on his patch. But we heard serin. I went to chase the serin to see the serin, and then a golden oriole blasted from the trees just behind my house, and it was a full patch tick. So I have never seen golden oriole on my patch until this year. So I was really chuffed. And then we had 2 bee eaters. I have to admit, not found by myself, but I was not too sad to chase them. I think it's been 3rd or 4th time I've seen bee eater on my patch. So these 2 would graze the patch for just 2 hours, and then they were off. And in June, I had a singing scarlet rosefinch and a migrant honey buzzard. So that was spring on tassel on this patch. And I think on other patches, we have some young birders who have different patches, so no overlaps. Everybody has to really do their own. And I was talking to Thomas, one of the young talents we got here on the island, and he had, I think, corn bunting, tawny pipit, and red-throated pipit, all recorded, all vismig, and he has a patch really on the North Sea coast of Texel, so that's really worthwhile. I had to just put a tent up on your on a dune top and stay there all spring, and they have time for that. So
yeah. Absolutely. Well, that sounds like a fantastic May and June for you, and lots of classic late spring birds.
Yeah.
And really, really encouraging to hear that Patchwork Challenge has sort of taken off in such a big way amongst the Dutch community. It's really, really gratifying to hear that it's sort of struck a chord. Fantastic.
It does. Yeah, and I think so because it's the first year, and then we have to make some adjustments, but probably to some of the rules, or probably the points, or maybe other systematics. But I think we'll just continue until next year, and then probably hit 500 participants. You never know.
Yeah. No. Well, very best of luck with that. We look forward to future updates as well, Vincent.
Sure.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah, actually, in both Rob and Vincent have both referred to bad driving at points around twitching as well. So we should point out we don't advocate scattering school children for college flies or speeding.
Speak for yourself. Right, are you going to pick this one up?
Fire up the Quattro every time anything turns up in Yorkshire. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right, are you going to take this one on?
Can do.
Yeah, excellent.
So Coastal Wales, so Alex Jones still at the top there, 129, but with Matt Bower just in second. So it's a pretty big battle for the top 2 with a nice roseate turn for Alex at River Clwyd. And then Coastal Wales 10K, again, Alex Jones at Broughton, a nice green winged teal there. So he's got quite a big lead over Matt on the 10K league. Coastal West of England, so we mentioned Sean O'Hara earlier, his patch, nice Monties. And we also saw 1 or 2 of his highlights earlier on as well. And then Jane's had a common red poll in her home patch, which is now over 100 points, which is quite a result for just a home patch.
And just to quickly chip in, congratulations to Jane for getting elected to the BOURC. So
indeed.
There you go.
Long-time participants, absolutely.
Absolutely fantastic.
And I should mention Paul Bate, no highlights, but obviously top spot there on 100.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Estuarine 10K, Irene on her own at Snettisham on there. So
it's not updated either.
No. And then Estuarine League on here. So we've got Toby Collette at Frampton Marsh. He's actually had a really good spring. I know on Twitter he put up sort of a list of the most recent birds that he'd seen on there, and it's really quite a list.
I
that
did
got
suspect
there this
green-winged
spring.
teal. Finding a green-winged teal is
So-
probably not the extent of his highlights, but
No, maybe the fines and the bonus points, but there's quite a lot of
Yeah,
there's really
yeah.
quite a lot of highlights to come from that site.
Fish in a barrel at Frampton, by the sounds of things.
Indeed, and then the other Frampton in second, so not to be confused, one
Yep.
coast and the other. But little turn off Spray Garden, short-eared owl, and then Oldbury Power Station. Pete Hazelwood's been patching that for a long time. Black-throated diver is nice, and a wood warbler.
Yeah.
And then John Conlon Hugh Paul, who's had a hen harrier whilst loading the dishwasher. Never a bad time to.
Absolutely.
Inland North, always the big league. So Duncan Drake is top in the league here at the moment. So he had a good run. I think American Widgeon, Slavonian Blackneck Grebes, one after the other. Kittiwakes, Ben Boys at Swillington Ings. So blue-headed whitetail knots, Little Turn, and certainly Swillington and St Aidan's has had a very good run as well this spring. Then Adam Firth, Drake in third, with some similar sort of birds. Looking at other highlights, nothing outstanding.
No,
some typical spring fare.
Yeah.
But glossy ibis for Will Bowen at Deeping Lakes, actually. So
I would suggest that red-throated diver at Deeping Lakes is probably a better record for an inland site than any of the others. Just to be controversial. And then the inland Brent goose as well in Crewe.
Yes, actually, you don't get many of those, so that'll have a mention.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure how Will Scott's Bempton Village patch qualifies for inland north, but
he's only got a common scout on it there, and
yeah, I was going to say, I assume it's just him knock-migging from his garden.
Yeah, that was my common scout tip. Stay outside for a while at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Inland North 10k. So Adam Firth, Elvington, it hit the 200-point mark now. So he's had the red start in spotted fly catches, so he's nicked him off you, Rob. Kittiwake, and then that's Slavonian Blackneck Grebe, the same ones as we mentioned earlier. Toby Holmes, actually, that Shorelock is from earlier in the year, I think. We reported on that, I think, when we did the last
update. It might be my error there.
And some non-updating of some of it, I think, as well. So and Tom Shields, Nottingham Trent Valley, 132, and cattle egrets, obviously they're spreading considerably at the moment.
Everywhere now, aren't they?
I may as well mention my willow tip. Why not?
Have it.
I'm in fifth. My other one's popping up the bottom of the league, so I may as well take some joy. And then other than that, nice green winged teal for Phil Woolen at Mollington, Cheshire. Which is, I'm sure, a nice patch tick. Inland Scotland 10k. So the battle of the two, not much of a battle at the moment. No. I think probably Mike Hodgkins trying to double Chris Pendlebury's score. Hooded Crow and Caspian Gull for Mark.
Caspian Gull will be a good record for Scotland. There won't be many of them.
And then Inland Scotland. So again, they're all trying to get to that 100-point mark. Always a bit of a challenge. And Lapwing, the highlight for the Heth.
Right, so we've got patch gold from April to June.
Yeah, so I'll stretch patch gold a little bit because I think patch gold gets quite broadly used, and we used to have that definition that it had to be kind of like extraordinarily common. Instead, I have just given a little bit of leeway to just some of those good sightings that inland or unusual patches. But these two are a little bit more classic patch gold, I think. Nice magpie in Scotland, the magpie in northern Scotland's always unusual. Yeah. And then house sparrow, which I think this might be the first house sparrow we've had as patch gold.
That looks pretty young, that house sparrow as well.
It does, and the first one recorded at Dick's Pit ever.
Oh, very good. That's Oxfordshire, isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, there you go.
I don't know where Dick's Pit is.
I'm guessing.
But wherever it is, there aren't house sparrows there until now.
There we go. Is that Caspian? No, not Caspian.
No, Kittiwake. This is just I'll bring this one in just because I guess for inland birders, I guess around May. Yeah. Things like turn movements, kittiwake movements, they're some of the things that you jam in on as inlanders. And we could talk about the big stuff on the coasts and things like that, but actually they're the birds that really do get you on your inland patches and what May is all about. So just a couple of examples. There's actually a lot of these on Twitter, but a kittiwake there for Mike Hodgkin, and then
just assuming it's going to be Caspian Gull, and but no, that's Little Turn's nice as well. Yeah.
And then a nice Melbourne thing on Guernsey. So that certainly seems to be quite an unusual record. Did a couple of those doing their treks out to other patches. I think there's another one down in the South Coast. It's in an unusual spot as well, isn't there? So
yeah, I think they're spreading. They've hit that critical mass and are spreading along the South Coast. Not sure how related the Guernsey sighting is to that, but good news nonetheless.
Indeed. And then White Stork River.
Wasn't there a sail bunting up at Barnard Castle?
There was, yes.
Well,
now that was a crackers record. I think Barnard Castle. I think what was that? March time or April time?
Yeah, I think it was early spring, wasn't it?
Yeah. But that must be the first record for Northeast England for 20 years, something like that. When was the last Spurn record?
Quite well.
Yeah.
Not in my memory, anyway.
No. I mean, obviously they were so range restricted down in Devon for such a long time, but obviously the introductions worked well, and there's a few moved into North Devon and Somerset, and obviously along to Portland as well, and there's birds been reported in Sussex. So seems like quite a big movement in terms of breeding range, and obviously these are all pioneer birds, but hopefully that's a sign of good things to come.
Indeed, set to continue.
There's one Spurn record in 1964. I've just had a look.
64.
Yes.
That will be a big unblocker when it comes in the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, well, if it keeps spreading like it is, and we keep getting these sort of out of range records, then
definitely
could well be coming. And then White Stork, there's quite a few got White Stork, and there was one I know around Nottinghamshire area and Yorkshire area, South Yorkshire area, that did have some credentials.
I think there were a few with credentials. I think just obviously it's very blurry, that picture, isn't it?
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. But even so, couple of nice pictures here in terms of just I think I just quite like them. The one on the left is the black-necked grebe, and I was going to just put up the one that Duncan had about the sort of Slavonian grebe disappearing, the black-necked grebe appearing the next day. But instead, I just love the deer passing it in the water. Yeah. And then a classic kind of Fair Isle picture, I guess, with a wood warbler in one of the geos there.
Oh, amazing!
Both just nice classic pictures in a way. And then just a nice try to these people who tried to get points. So we've got Duncan trying to get points for Sean the sheep, and potentially the woodcock, which I think is printed on its tail somewhere. That ruddy shelduck, which always a debatable ruddy shelduck. They do certainly appear in numbers at certain times of year.
Yeah.
But yes, I suspect not. I think the fact that he put plastic fantastic as a hashtag probably doomed his own ability to get points.
Yeah.
And helmeted guinea fowl turning up in Ness.
Yeah, good period of southerly wind I heard at that point.
Indeed, flew off north strongly, genuinely lost to view. So pushing it, Rob, I'm afraid. Stick to your magpie.
Very good. Right. Well, should we do we want to pass this on, or shall I do it?
You can do it, or unless Vincent or Rob fancy a go.
Either of you chaps want to do this one?
No, you do it.
All right, cool.
There you go.
Well, right, so Inland South 10K, Joe Parham's top on 181 points for his Cambridge patch with blue throat and fudge duck. That's crackers. That's a really good score. Andy Sims at Bolton Mere, long time stalwart with Jack Snipe, ring ousel and a kittiwake. And then William Lambourne at Ledbury in Herefordshire. He's on 135 points in third with Firecrest and ring ousel. There's a few, lots of nice bits and pieces, but nothing else too crazy there.
The house sparrow, it's here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very good.
Pretty good.
First record.
I'll Google Dick's Pit while you're doing the next bit.
Yeah, you do that. You tell me it's in Berkshire or somewhere else. Pete Softly also got Kittiwake in the Inland South 3K League at Lady Walk in Warwickshire. He's on 167 points with a 12-point lead. He's also had Night Heron, Little Turn, Black Turn, all sorts of stuff. Jeff Wyatt in Oxfordshire at Days Lock. He's on 155 points. He's also had a Green Wing Teal. Steve Atkinson on the Middle Tame. He found a Savvy's Warbler, which is great. He's also had Green Wing Teal and Lesser Spotted Woodpecker. That's a good top 3. An inland Little Turn, as we've seen, from Matthew Dick at Lake and Heath. Then what else have we got? Nice heathy bits and pieces at a couple of places. Gareth Blockley's done quite well at Grimsbury Reservoir with Sandwich and Arctic Tern and an all caps grey partridge. So I assume that's pretty good record.
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 people patch gold hashtagged grey partridge.
This fair play. Yeah, I mean, I know I took the mick out of Mark Golly last year, didn't I? So I've learnt my lesson there. So, and then in 14th, Neil Burt has had Nightingale's return to his patch after being missing for a couple of years. So that is nice. Then we go to part 2, and we've got a Cattle Egret for Oliver Headley. Neil Poir, Dan Ledley,
he's not giving himself any points.
Yeah,
from earlier, so.
Yeah, well, he knows, but still a nice bird. Excellent, and he's had a marsh tit there as well. And then inland Wales 10K, Paul Maheeks hasn't updated since January.
Still winning though.
Yeah, still winning, still losing. Islands 10K, we've got John Bowler up top with 225 points. He's had quail, and Snow Goose was in April.
We were updating for April and May here, and I think he's had some really good birds over the spring as well.
I'm sure on 225,
including that red-breasted fly earlier. So.
Exactly, I'm sure on 225 points he's not struggling. Steve Dudley, I know Steve wasn't very well, so not loads of updates from him, but he's still got 202 points. Hopefully he's feeling a bit brighter. Barry Hamill on Orkney on 146 points, and then the rest of it's pretty quiet for the 10K. And then we get into the 3K league. We've got Memora's Warbler for Dave Parnaby on Fair Isle. He's had some amazing falls, which Johnny Fisk and co have been counting away. John Bowler on Tyree. Oh, here we go. Blythe Reed, Red-breasted Fly, Rose Finch, Bee Eater. 208 points.
I like it.
Yeah, still a ways behind David, but doing all right. And then Steve, again, another 20 points or so, 21 points back, but ahead of David on 141. Probably due an update, I'd imagine, from a few of these people. So there you go. And then in the Netherlands, we got Vincent.
You still include you, Vincent.
No,
you still get your score.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's kind of a hassle to have everything in order, and I think this is from April or something like that.
Okay, we'll probably. Should we take this off going forward then?
Yeah, maybe, but I can make an update. But it's very lonely here.
It's all right. I mean,
and Jan isn't even in the Netherlands, so.
No, yeah, Jan's in Germany. Bless him. But again, he hasn't updated in a while, so I'd like to hear from Jan when he gets the chance.
Yeah, we'll invite you on periodically, Vincent, just to do updates, like you have done today.
Yeah.
And then we've got the top 10 leagues. Pete, do you want to do these ones?
Yeah, so the overall top 10 for 10 kilometres, we've got Gibraltar Point 1 and 2. So they are really hitting big there at the moment. So Sam Goddard, 200 species, is the first one to hit that in the 10 kilometres. John Bowler on Tyree making up the top 3. The green top 10, so Jacob is top there, and I guess he's probably going to remain top to some extent, but Rob, you need to hunt him down over the autumn, get some of those big 5-point finds.
I'm going to try, mate.
Yeah, and then Charlotte as well, so it's really bunching up at the top, so it'll make a really interesting reading over the remainder of the year.
Absolutely, and Ben Ward's managed to split the Spurn patches at Scarborough.
Although having said that, this is the green top 10, and Rob's just admitted to having driven back from the shop to get the collared fly. How does that work?
Interesting.
Do you have to discount the collared fly? No.
I think he's driven away to the shop, hadn't he, to be fair?
It was found in my back garden. That's how I'm having it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm not going to argue with you. Overall top 10 then for the 3 kilometer leagues. So Jacob at the top at the moment on 298, almost breaking 300 points at the halfway mark of the year.
Yeah.
Trevor at Titchwell, always in contention at 260, and then Mark and Rob in 3 and 4, and Dave Parnaby at Fair Isle in 5. So some really big scores at the moment, racking up in there with the autumn to go. And then the comparative top 10, so obviously into our second year now of the revived competition. So we do have some comparatives. So we've got Dan Webb there.
I've disqualified one person that was on 205%.
That's quite an effort to switch, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Andy Sims, I know he had a broken leg for half of last year, so I suspect that he probably doesn't count. So beyond that,
yes, even I've just had flood water in winter, which has kind of helped me massively this year, which I don't get every year. So otherwise, I have no water. So, yes, that's obviously helped my total this year, and next year will probably be a disaster. And then Dan Ledley, then Durham in third. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 100% at the moment. But yes, mine's a little bit skewed by that. But I've not got to the coast much. I've done all of my birding locally just because of this year. So.
Probably the same reason we haven't done many Patchwork Challenge updates. I would
Indeed,
suspect.
yes. Work has somewhat got in the way, and dog walks is pretty much my birding right now.
Right. So
yeah.
It's the end of the month, end of the slideshow, and into a new month. We're in July. I think July and August. What do we reckon we're having for July and August, Pete?
I'm going to, it's classic sort of seabirding, isn't it, and things like that. So rare terns, probably. Long time since there's been when was the last sort of yellow-billed tern, elegant tern, royal tern?
I think that was a couple of months ago in Ireland.
On the East Coast.
Right, on the East Coast. I don't think there's been one on the
East
Coast
for
a long
time. They've always turned up at like Kemley Lagoons or West Coast of Ireland. I think it's about time on the East Coast that there was one of those rare terns doing it.
You'd take an elegant tern in the tern roost, wouldn't you, Rob?
Well, elegant tern. I wouldn't mind that American black tern coming down.
Oh yeah.
It's still the least turnover in Ireland still blows my mind how it's so loyal to that place there, and the little terns move about, and we get the little terns breeding here on big ponds that have been ringed in Ireland. Why doesn't it come back with one of them?
Because it knows it's better in Dublin.
Keep listening out.
Yeah. Well, so what do you fancy for the summer then, Rob?
Well, I'm on a similar vein. Like it's getting to that point of gull movement, tern movement. So I've got Pacific Swift down at the minute. I've seen there was one up in Shetland today.
Yeah. 2 days time.
Hopefully not. I'm going on Tim Jones's stag do to Ireland, and we're going to hopefully see the least tern while we're there. I don't want to miss Pacific Swift, but surely it's got to be on the cards all of a sudden now.
Yeah.
Caspian tern, we've got to have a chance of that. There's been plenty of them sort of locally. Yeah. We've not had one since 2013, so that would be a good one to get.
That was Adam's one that he saw while he was watching. Well, he'd found the roller, hadn't he?
Was it the roller or the rock thrush?
Oh, maybe it was rock thrush. Yeah, rock thrush. Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got me there. Yeah. I knew he doubled up very quickly, so that's a pretty decent one. No third bird though, so he wouldn't make a Dutch birder.
Exactly.
No, excellent. For me, I reckon we're going to get I reckon it's going to be a Porthgora South Polar skewer. I think it's looking like a really active hurricane season. There's already been a few Western Powell records this year. I think West Coast, maybe an Ireland one, but I think I can see, I'm foreseeing, because I'm going down to see Ryan on about the third week of August. It will be the week after when So that's what I reckon this time out. And for you, Vincent, what do you reckon?
Yeah, we have like fall migration, especially the shorebirds are really picking up. So I was we still need least sandpiper for our Dutch list. So it would be really nice to have one of our patch birders find a least sandpiper. And I think it's doable because we've had like species like redneck stint on really small ponds inland. So I think least sandpiper could be potentially found everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe on my patch, but I'm not too optimistic about that. But that would be like nationwide. I think least sandpiper for August would be really great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and for my own patch, I think like either my first patch greenish warbler last few days of August would be nice.
Yeah.
And apart from that, just scanning the high tide roost really close by here on my patch for also species like Terex sandpiper or something like that should be doable.
Wow. That'd be lovely. Rob, could you give me any hints about picking out a least sandpiper?
Well, there was one sort of coming your way last week, but yeah, they're very little.
Very little.
Pretty small. Pretty
Who
small.
Who found that one, Rob?
Harry Appleyard actually found it.
Nice.
Yeah, if he was doing the patchwork challenge, I don't think it'd be at Spurn. He'd probably be a bit further up, but he's working down here.
Okay.
But he's had a real run of finding some really good stuff. He's found loads of redback shrikes and stuff this year, and yeah, that was it texted me and Jacob with an interesting photograph of it with no context behind it.
Yeah.
it looked like it was projecting toads, so we're like long toed stint, and then so it had flown off, but then was rediscovered. So it's an interesting bird, to say the least.
Yep.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed the Netherlands scores its first least sandpiper on a patchwork challenge patch. But no, thanks both of you for joining us today. It's been great to have you on. And thanks everybody for your patience with Pete and I's failure to get our asses in gear.
We'll do our usual promising that we'll get our asses into gear.
Well, I even did the scores for April really early. We just couldn't do it.
I completely let everybody down on that front, and then ever since it's just been
gave up. Yeah. So we will once again commit to doing even worse next time. So see you in December.
Yes, we'll do one while we're away in October. Definitely first week of October.
Yeah, when it's raining, when we're on Stronsay.
Absolutely,
definitely.
Yeah, when it's hurricane season on Stronsay. First week of October.
Well, we'll need something to do. But yeah, thanks everyone for your patience. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on YouTube, because obviously that helps us. Because we're absolute social media whores here. So, good birding for the autumn as it rolls in.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.
See you later.
Bye, chaps.